We thank you, Eternal, for this Shabbat. And thank you, Eternal, for each of you. The blessings of this day, the blessings of this Shabbat, for keeping us and sustaining us through this week, maintaining us. We ask God's blessings upon all of those who are in travel and those who are listed on our prayer list. The Almighty might bless them, keep them, and sustain them. As I opened up a little bit earlier today, explaining to you this, well, let's read it together. Turn with me, please, to the 12th chapter. The 12th chapter of the book of Leviticus, 12 and 1. You know, last week, we ended talking about a holy God, and a holy people. So for the people to be holy, they had to imitate God. So God gave us the types of food that we were permitted to eat to sustain a sense of closeness to God in holiness. Now, I don't know why food makes you holy. I've never eaten shrimp. They tell me some people that eat shrimp, they taste real good. They get them butterfly. And you know, I saw that movie with that boy going to jail about stealing some shrimp. What was the name of it? Yeah. And he said that he stole the biggest shrimp there was, you know. Jamie Foxx. Him and his cousin were shrimp thieves. You know, went to jail for stealing shrimp. So it doesn't really make an awful lot of sense. But we are commanded. And I know some have done research that says and told us how filthy the pig was, and that's why we couldn't eat pig. They've told us, you know, that shrimp was a scavenger. But that's not why I don't eat it. I don't eat it because it does not fit in the criteria of what is permissible for us to eat. Okay? Because somebody told me one time, well, you know what? You can buy corn-fed hog. And the hog ain't never been in no slop. Because we get you some corn-fed hog. And you know those hogs never even touch the ground. They put them on cages and they on chicken wire fences and stuff. So everything they do falls down and all they do is give them good corn and water. Yeah, they should be kosherized. But that's not why we don't eat it. We don't eat it because it does not fit the criteria. It does not fit the criteria. So that's why it's not considered. What is the criteria? And I want you to see how it doesn't fit. No one understands why there's this difference in a woman's being in a state of uncleanliness if she has a boy or a girl. Oh, how's it work there? Wow, she must be really in trouble. She has to do her 40 days with a boy. And then, now, the issue is, can she do that time concurrently? In other words, can she be, I give you the jail sentence for 2 crimes, and you're going to serve concurrently. So you're serving both terms at the same time. Okay? So you do your 40 days with a boy, and then you just got to do 40 more days with a girl. I hope you don't have to do it for the boy, then turn around and do. So, and then, but she has twin girls. Or triplets. Where does it go? Where does it end? Where does it end? We don't understand. The point I'm trying to make is we don't understand. And every law that we have doesn't necessarily give us an explicit understanding as to the why. That's what I'm trying to explain. This is like a Kukat statute. And these are laws that don't necessarily have any rhyme nor reason to them, but they are given to us through eternity. Now, John ben Judah might say, that some brother got a hold of the scripture, was married to his wife, and so he just extrapolated the time out for a girl. That's why women are told in the Talmud that they can't read the Torah. It has nothing to do with women not being clean, not being holy before God, or any of that. It all has to do with the prejudice of man. Okay? So that's the 12th chapter. Now, I mentioned a little while ago about the 13th chapter, and I mentioned some of the stuff that when I first came into the house of Israel in the 1970s, what folks taught me. So let me say at the beginning, being blonde is not a curse. Okay? They're not bad people. You sure about that, right? I'm positive. I'm happy. That a person's hair color, texture of their skin, their ethnicity does not put them in the realm of sinners any more so than any of us, any human being can sin. Every human being is made in the image of God. There's not a white God and a black God and a Mexican God and a Chinese God. To my knowledge, there's only one God. And all humanity is made in the image of this God. And I shared this with you before. Your very body is the image of God because it bears the name of God. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. That's the image of God. God don't have a face like you. God doesn't have 2 eyes and a nose. God wasn't born with 32 teeth. God doesn't have 2 ears. God doesn't have 10 fingers. God doesn't have arms and legs. Yet, when the Bible speaks of God, it speaks of God in anthropomorphic terms. And God stretched out his hand. And God held them in the palm of his hand. Israel is the apple of God's eye. So when it says that he has an eye, it says that he stretched out his arm, it says this. It speaks in the language of man. The Bible speaks in the language of man. So I just want to give you a quick example here in the 13th chapter, very quickly. I want you to get it. I want you to read it with me. First of all, I tell people, one brother said, man, you got to be careful of bald people. Why you got to be careful of bald? Well, they could have something. Or being, you got a lot of it. Because you ain't got no hair. So, teachings. Maybe because they have fears. Maybe those teachings came out of their fears. But I want you to go with me to the 36th verse of the 13th chapter. And please read that with me, please, together.
Then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the scars is red in his skin, the priest shall not seek for the yellow hair. He is unclean. But
not seek for yellow hair, he is what?
unclean.
So somebody used to actually teach that having a yellow hair or blonde made a person unclean. It's not correct. It's very, very important. And if you go down there later on, it says, and if he gets his skin is dark, and once his skin darkens up, and the spot gets dark, then he's clean. So they used to use that. But let's really talk about the source of leprosy in the Torah. Because it's not like any disease that we know of today. It is not the leprosy that we know of today. These things from the Torah that make us unclean emanate from the inner side, the emissions that they talk about. They come from inside human beings, okay? That's number one. Secondly, this idea of uncleanliness, of leprosy, we're told and we're taught, and it's theorized that this comes about because of Lashon Hara, because of evil speech. When you go around talking about people, speaking ill and evil of people, that then you are marked, and that's how these marks become manifest on the outside, demonstrating what you feel on the inside. So it says if you don't want to be carrying these marks, you got to learn how to clean yourself up on the inside. And if you clean yourself up on the inside, then that will manifest itself in your cleanliness on the outside. But many, many years ago, and even to this very day, we still have people that are treated like they are lepers. And who were the real lepers? Were the lepers the people that stood before the Edmund Pettus Bridge and sought to go over and pray before they walked over that bridge? Or were the lepers the government officials that came and charged down on them on horseback with clubs out, moving through these people like they were not even human, like they were cattle? Who were the lepers? Were the lepers the individuals that are part of the Muslim community that have never done anything, and yet so many people suffer from Islamophobia, a fear of Muslims? And the way some of you sisters are wearing your headscarves today, you could mistakenly be taken more so for a Muslim quicker than you could be taken for a Jew. The only thing is, you know how your scarf isn't up around covering your nose, so only the eyes are out, and some just cover the mouth and have that. Who is the leper? I believe that the lepers were the same people that the president got in trouble about saying. He said, well, you know, we have Christians that were terrorists. And they jumped on him from side to side and up and down. But he was correct. Every member of the Ku Klux Klan was a card-carrying Christian. Pastors, deacons, elected officials in Washington, D.C., in their state legislators, Who were the lepers? They were taking young men and hanging them. Who were the lepers? Who are the lepers today? When getting stopped by the police and even having your back to that officer might in fact get you shot because he lacks training, but he's a good donor to the sheriff's department. He doesn't know the difference between a pistol, a firearm, and a taser. Who are the lepers today? Lepers that operate in our Congress where we can't, it took almost 200 days to get the nomination of the next Attorney General approved. Who are the lepers? Whose actions outwardly are really manifesting what they are in. And then they tell you, well, that's politics. And not to worry about it because that's the nature of politics. So we must be very, very careful. We really must be careful about not allowing anyone to put us in a place where people that look like you are called negah. Leprous, unclean, negah. I don't know, but I hope it wasn't a play on words. I pray it was not a play on words. And we wanted to call them negah. Oh, and then the N-word came out. You see the closeness of the similarity in the words? Something to think about. Something to give contemplation to. But furthermore, the Talmud says that Yehudi, lo Ashkenazi, v'gam lo Kushi. The Talmud says that a very, very tall man should not marry a very, very tall woman, lest their children touch the sky. And a man that is a dwarf, that is very small, should not marry a woman that is also a dwarf, lest their children be even smaller. And a very, very white person should not marry a person white, least you can't find their kids in the day. And a very, very dark person should not marry a person that is very, very dark, least you can't find their children in the night. And a very, very red person should not marry another person that is just as red as they are, least their children always look like they have some infirmity. So the Talmud is saying that this is a mixture of what the people of Israel, Bnai Yisrael, are. And remember, it says, "Hear, O Israel." It doesn't say, "See, O Israel." It doesn't say, "Look, O Israel." As a matter of fact, we couldn't see anyone that was standing anywhere around us. The darkness was so thick you could cut it, and no one was talking. Not even a dog was. Nothing. For the thunder and the lightning, and then the voice of the eternal. I remember many years ago when it would start thundering real bad, we had to cut the TV off. We had to go down and sit, and it had nothing to do about lightning. I was told that God was speaking. That God is talking. Listen. God So lastly on this whole part, again, I feel for the young boy or young girl whose birthday falls this week, and this is their portion. And they have to deal with leprosy, and they have to deal with scraping the wall, and after you scrape the wall, then most stuff grow up on the wall, then you know that the house is unclean, and the priest got to come back in 7 more days. And I said, well, what about the time that my basement was leaking, and we had that fungus growing in the corner of the basement? We had to literally clean that out. Then we had to get bleach and all that kind of stuff and thoroughly clean, trying to get the basement right. And today you have people's houses that they get infections in the brick. Brick can become infected. Is it the leprosy of the Torah? Or is it simply just an aberration of the chemicals in the brick, how the bricks were made? But we don't see people as lepers. The lepers are the people that use their political power, their financial power, to crush and hold others down, to demean, to deface, to take away their very humanity. As the humanity of these black men and boys is being snatched away, unfortunately, in many cities, this one included, where the state's attorney is so ignorant that, oh, they put the wrong charges in. The guy says he wants a bench trial. The judge says, well, you can go, because this is not the right charge. That girl was shot 2 years ago. Was it 2012 or 2013? When that young girl was shot, he just jumps out of his car and shoots. Hits this girl in the back of the knee. And unfortunately, in our community, too many of us treat each other like lepers. Because we have no problem at all at destroying each other. Last night, less than 2 miles from our home, some young girl, 19 years old, was murdered at a party. 3 other people shot, 2 other people shot. She wasn't shot by the police. She wasn't shot by the sheriff's police or the state police. The FBI didn't shoot her. None of the black ops people came in and raided their homes. We didn't have the situation of a Bnai. She was shot by somebody that looked just like her, just like them. Perhaps all that person saw